So today I'm going to answer the question of what it costs to restore my C10. Now I'm not going to break it down, you know, this is what this costs, yada yada yada. I'm just looking at the total expense to restore the truck with how I did it. So for you people with the shorter attention span, I can sum it up with it cost about $19,000. That is with purchasing the truck, painting the truck, LS Swap, all the interior, new windshield, new back glass, tint, rims, tires, all that stuff. So I'm sitting about $19,000 into this project so far. Definitely could have done it for much cheaper, but I will say project definitely got out of hand fast. So here it is in all of its glory. I'm happy with the outcome. The truck drives great. I love the looks of it, but it's a lot of money. But if you're new to the channel and you haven't been watching the build series, I guess what we can call it, on the truck, I can bring you up to speed on that and its history. So what was it, circa 2021? No, it was 2022. Me and Jared were on a contract in Oklahoma. We were bored. We had nothing to do. If you've ever been to the panhandle of Oklahoma, you'll understand there's not much going on out there. So we were looking for some project for us to do on our weekends, time in between work, just to keep us entertained and out of trouble. So I'd been wanting a two-wheel drive C10. I already have a four-wheel drive, so wanted to get a two-wheel drive, fix it up, and kind of do like a budget parking lot restoration. Yeah, didn't go as planned. So we drove to Texas, picked up the truck, brought it back up to Oklahoma. We were staying in an apartment at the time. So once we got the truck, we realized that I realized that I probably made a bad purchase. The engine, it was a 350. I think the code on it was like out of a 69, 70 Camaro. 2-bolt main. The previous owner had done some work to it. He put a 305 Magnum comp cam in it. And he claimed it was higher compression ratio, still had iron heads on it. There was problems though. So ran a compression check on it, only had like 90 psi on all 8. It was pretty consistent. However, probably not the best level of compression with a cam that size. So I did what I could to get it running, but I could never get it to not run rich. Couldn't get it to idle great. Just a lot of issues with that. So eventually the landlord complained about it. It also leaked. So we tucked it away in a storage unit, finished some other projects. I think we started on a motorcycle project that he had sitting in his garage. And then I had my Sportsman 850 high lifter. So we brought that up, finished it up. And then eventually moved the truck down to my garage in Arkansas. With me being in Oklahoma, I could travel home, work on the truck some, visit the family, and then go back up to Oklahoma. However, eventually we finished that contract, and I was looking at about 6 weeks off work. So I immediately pulled the small block Chevy out, completely abandoned fixing that. When I drove it, the 1.5 miles I drove it, the transmission was definitely slipping. Allegedly it had a stall converter in it. However, kind of hard to test whenever it's running like garbage. So basically, in my mind, it was easier to just put a 5.3 and a 4L60 in it and just go with that. So that's what I did. But then I never test drove it. I immediately decided that I wanted a short bed. So I cut the truck in half, shortened the frame, and yeah, it just went on from there. I did cut out a lot of the rust, well, all of the rust, I should say. So I had to replace the rockers, the cab corners, the floor pans. That was a big project. However, I'm pretty glad that I learned how to do that, because oftentimes when you're shopping for C10s, you always see rust in the cab corners and the rockers. If I could fix it, it definitely opens up to a broader market of what I'm comfortable with purchasing and trying to repair. So, very glad I did that. But this is where a story kind of turned sideways. At that point, we were coming up on the 6 weeks. It's time to go back to work, and we accepted a contract in Vermont. Didn't quite know what to expect with that one. So I went up towards the end of the winter, and I did not have a garage. So the truck was not going with me. So the truck actually ended up sitting in the shop for quite a while. While I was up there, I did end up purchasing the Predator 500, restored that. Had a lot of fun hitting the trails in Vermont on it. However, eventually I was finished with that. Had some time off, and I planned on going back to Arkansas. So I did the right thing, and I put the truck completely back together to haul it, tossed it on a trailer, got it up to Vermont, no issues, had a blowout on the way, but ended up purchasing a new trailer for that, so it worked out well. So when I am on contracts, I have no responsibility outside of going to work. I've got to pay my bills, but basically all of the time that I'm not at work, I'm not visiting family, I'm not spending time with my wife, so I do get bored. So silver lining there is it gives me a lot of time to work on the project as long as I have a space to do it. So outside of my wife visiting me up there and some vacations, I was able to get the fuel system done. I was able to get the interior installed, get my bucket seats in. I did install a vintage air kit, which worth its weight in gold, worth every single penny. I love AC, and that kit, it takes some time to install it. It's not the easiest thing, but at the end of the day, like having some badass AC in your truck, you just can't beat it. But from there, I put some new wheels on it. Was definitely going for like a NASCAR truck look. Yeah. Kind of nailed that, at least in my opinion. If I lower it, like if it was just a little, well, like a 3.5 drop on the wheels and tires that I have on it right now, it would look nice. But I'm not going to lower it because I don't like lowered trucks. I mean, I like them. I just don't like to drive them. So, I intended to get the paint and body done while I was in Vermont. However, some of you New Englanders probably know getting your vehicle serviced in some of those areas, it's difficult. Like you have to basically request the service like 2 to 3 months out. So I didn't have time for that. I was actually coming at the end of my contract. The truck was together, it was running and driving, and yeah, I somehow got it in my head that I was going to road trip it home. So I rolled some primer on it. Bad idea. Much better to spray that stuff. However, I was going to road trip it from New England. I'd already sanded it down, had a lot of bare metal showing. I didn't want to risk it. I really didn't want just a lot of surface rust on it, so I rolled it, didn't come out great, ended up looking like house paint. So that was fun to sand off later on because it was epoxy, and epoxy does not sand well. So that added a lot of time to my paint body. Overall, the road trip from Vermont, it was about 1,500 miles. Prior to doing that, I had replaced the wheels, balanced the tires. I put a 342 gear and posi unit in it from Yukon. That ended up working out great. The only issue on the road trip was 342s, 27-inch tires, and the exhaust being dumped underneath the bed. It was loud. I wore earplugs. Couldn't really jam out to the radio. No cruise control. And the throttle, it's an electric throttle on this, so it's really touchy. So it was fun. Wouldn't recommend that. Like, put you some cruise control in, it's worth it. But eventually, we finally made it back to Arkansas, back in my home shop. I was able to reorganize my shop, had some honeydews that I had to do around the house, and then I could get back to the truck. So I tore it all apart, finished recoating some sections of the frame, the rear axle, the front suspension parts, got all of that recoated. And then it was on to paint and body. Now, I am not a paint and body guy. Yeah, I mean, there's no other way to put it. I don't have a lot of experience there. I've done some, mostly like small repairs that can be done in like a day or two. But this was a very humbling experience. And then, on top of everything else, while I was doing paint body, I accepted another contract. So that put a timeline on me finishing the truck. So, where was I? I kind of got in the mindset of I just simply wanted to get the truck done. It's not going to be a show truck. It's going to be for me to drive and enjoy. And honestly, I have a tendency of putting dents in vehicles, especially trucks, because I use them. I put stuff in the bed. It's not unheard of for me to accidentally smack the side of the bed with a 2x4. My newer truck definitely has experienced that. So, yeah. I was on a timetable, had to get it done, but I also wanted to get the truck done and be able to drive it and enjoy it before I left for this contract, because this contract is 2,000 miles away from my home. So there was no way I was going to drag a trailer this far. Plus, I'm up in Washington, had to deal with a lot of snow and mountain passes coming up here. And I don't know, pulling a 18-foot trailer, full-size truck with 1,500 or a half-ton pickup truck, it just didn't sound like a great plan to me. I wasn't about to go out paying $70,000 to $90,000 for a new 2,500. So, came up here without the truck, but that kind of leads me to why I really felt motivated to get the truck done and driving to where I could enjoy it. So, paint and body got done. Truck just looks good. I mean, there's no way around it. As far as future plans for the truck, I plan on driving it for some time. I am on a wait list for a drag and drive event. So I don't know if I'll end up making it. If I can't race, I'm probably not going to go to the full event. I'll probably catch some days of it, but I can't justify driving. At least right now, I can't justify driving as a spectator for a drag and drive event. Plus, like, some of the spectators they get charged the same as the racers. there's some local events that I plan on attending. I think in July, late June, early July. There's a car meet and little 8th mile no prep that I may go to. Unfortunately, eventually I will sell this truck. So I'm not rich. This is a lot of money to have just out there. But eventually I will sell it to fund some other projects. Is it worth it? I don't know. It's hard to say. I mean, it is like nearly $20,000, and I'll probably put, you know, there's no telling how many hours that I have on this truck. But I mean, for me, I think it's worth it. Truck's fun to drive. I don't think I can buy a vehicle of that condition for $20,000. And I've got time and labor, so I can manage that. But that's gonna do it, guys. Feel free to ask any questions. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I'm trying to do more videos. It's going to be difficult for some time, so I won't be back in Arkansas for, well, I don't know when I'll be back. Yeah. Yeah. Like, subscribe, do all that stuff, and thanks for watching.